Hi guys, it's Eva, your rich social work coach, and you are about to watch an interview that just happened with Deona Hooper. Now, you may not recognize her name, but I can almost guarantee you've seen her work. Deona is the editor-in-chief of socialworkhelper.com, and I am so thrilled that she agreed to do this interview for you. So if you like this video, make sure you like it, make sure you share it, and I will see you on the inside.
You can't actually see me. My camera's gone. I'm sorry about that, but that's okay. I'm not the main attraction today. Deona Hooper is our special guest, and it's really my privilege. I'm just so over the moon. It's probably a good thing you guys can't see me because I'm cheesing from ear to ear. I look really geeky. She's like, you know, my superhero online. I'm just so honored to have her. Deona is a social worker. She is the editor-in-chief of socialworkhelper.com. And I'm sure most of you have, if you haven't heard of it, you probably subscribe to it. And if you don't, after this, you definitely want to. I ran into, or I discovered, I should say, Social Work Helper a few years ago when I was teaching, and you know, I showed all of my students and encouraged them to subscribe. And when I found out that Deona was behind the scenes, I thought, you know what, I've got to meet this girl. She's like superwoman. So thank you so much for being here with us, Deona. There's a lot of social workers and other people that are going to be watching this, I'm sure. So I'm going to try to ask questions that they would want to know, and hopefully they'll be able to, you know, be subscribers to Social Work Helper and maybe even contributors in the future. Who knows?
Awesome. Well, I'm certainly ecstatic to be here with you guys. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Tell us, Social Work Helper, you've got, I mean, I don't know how, I looked at the subscriptions yesterday. I didn't keep it in my head, but you've got, is it like probably almost 100,000 people subscribed? I don't know.
Well, between social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, it's about 130,000 people that follow Social Work Helper on social media, and then I have the regular subscribers and visitors to the website. So on a daily basis, I can reach, you know, millions of people through the website and social media combined. So it is a privilege to be able to touch that many people with any given message, or the ability to create awareness on an issue. So it comes with a lot of responsibility when you can have that type of influence and impact in disseminating information to people.
That's amazing to me. Just, you know, hearing that, you know, the ability to reach millions of people on a daily basis. I mean, I think in social work, we dream of that. But I don't know how many of us actually ever feel like we get to do that. So I think for you to be able to have built such a platform is really commendable. Can you talk a little bit about why you wanted to build Social Work Helper? What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, ideally, when I went to graduate school later in life, I actually got my BSW in '97, which is almost 20 years ago. I worked in corrections when I first got out of college. Then I went to law enforcement. I was a patrol officer. And then I worked as a detective, asset protection detective for a retail outlet doing, you know, fraud investigations and things of that nature. And I did that for 10 years. And then, you know, my parents got sick. I have two aging parents who had me later in life. I always joke, most of my friends my age say, oh, my parents are in their late 50s. I'm like, really? Because my parents are in their late 70s. So, that's something I always joke about with my friends. And so that's when I went back to social work. I had to move back home for a little while, rent my house out so that I could help out. And that's how I got back into social work. And so then I decided to go back to graduate school later in life. I 10 years since I had my BSW that I decided to go back to graduate school. I went back advanced standing, and it was a very tough decision to. I thought going to graduate school was going to be a little bit easier than what it actually was. It was very challenging. I was working as a child welfare social worker, and I had to quit my job as a child welfare social worker to work for free as an intern.
Yeah.
Because of the demand. And, as a single woman, and I'm in my 40s now, that was a huge, caused a huge financial difficulty for me. One that I feel that I'm still recovering from years later. So, I wanted to talk about change, reform. How do we improve the outcomes for not just social workers, but students? How do we train students and social workers, one, not to have the expectation that to be in this profession, you have to start out in a hardship in school. You have to accept those conditions as normal. And that's something that I've always felt that social workers should strive against, that we should advocate against. The working of the free internships, even though you're working full-time hours, I think it creates a hardship for social workers in the workplace where they are displaced because jobs and employers and agencies don't necessarily have to provide the jobs that they would because they use them free interns. So it's a cycle that I feel that keeps social workers' wages depressed. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to write about. I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about reform of internships, not to mention I didn't have any health insurance while I was in college and graduate school either, because my program didn't offer health insurance. And so I had all these major life-changing issues that affected me, and not just me, but affected a lot of students across the country who was experiencing the same thing. So I wanted to talk about these issues, and the major social work platforms did not.
Yeah.
Everything tends to be practice or clinical focused, but less on advocacy, change, and reform, not just on external issues, but internal social work issues as well. And so those were some things I wanted to talk about. I found myself not having a platform to talk about those things. So I created a platform so I could. And that's how Social Work Helper evolved.
And social work helper has been around for how long now?
Since 2011, so going on 4 years. It has.
And you've been able to build that platform. You built it pretty quickly, I think.
Well, one of the things that has helped me in building Social Work Helper, I had a technology background. Initially, when I went to college, I was a computer science major. And my ideal job was to be an engineer, computer science engineer. But I was also a teen parent. So the challenges that I had to face going to college, getting in school was easy, staying in school was the hard part. And so just life experiences made me change my major to social work. Because I felt that, I had some experiences on both sides of the table that could be useful when helping other people like me increase their outcomes. I mean, I come from a blue collar family, a third generation teen parent, and the first person in my family to graduate from college. So I felt a gravitational pull towards social work. And so, but I always loved technology. It became a hobby for me. I would build websites and things of that nature, of technology nature, you know, fixing my friends' computers, you know, building websites for my friends, you know, just, you know, all things tech. I was just like the go-to person, and I was free. And so it was a hobby for me. So I did not, you know, it was just a way for me to relax and to de-stress from the stresses in my regular job. And so when I created Social Work Helper, I was able to build on the self-taught skills that I had. So it wasn't like I had to contract out any work. I could build a website myself. I could maintain it. I can make improvements. I could do all the development that I needed to maximize the, you know, the search engine optimization of the website to reach the amount of people that I wanted to reach. So I could basically bring my website up to the same standards as other, you know, websites, because I had the skill to do so. So that was beneficial, because otherwise the cost benefits of having to hire someone to contract all those hats that I wear myself, I don't think I would have been able to achieve the amount of success that Social Worker Helper has achieved and the reach that it has achieved if I had to pay someone to do all those services for me.
That's okay. You are my new social work crush. I mean, you're amazing. You're just so amazing. I'm gonna try to continue with the interview and not just like drool all over your shoes. But I mean, you bring up some really great points, because one of the things that I promote through my site, evaforde.com, the place for social workers who want to be rich. That's a tagline, right? But one of the things I promote is, look, you've got skills, you've got experiences that can be useful in the execution of social work and of helping other people. And if you're young, let's say, and you don't know what your skills are, then this is the great time to develop other skills, develop new skills. So, you know, I'm learning. It's great that you have this tech background. I'm learning now, and we're about the same age, and yet, you know, so it's taken me a lot longer time. But I recognize that the tools are there to be used. So can you talk to us a little bit about that in terms of maybe I want to stay on your story a little while longer, but eventually I'm going to get back to the question, which is, what advice do you have for other social workers who are coming up, and how can they use their skills? But you have done something very unique with Social Work Helper. You just mentioned that you wanted to build a platform for advocacy. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of your favorite things to advocate for? I know what some of them are, but I'd love for you to share them and why.
Well, I guess, you know, just knowing a little bit about my background, which I've touched on, you know, being from a blue-collar family. I have 2 Asian parents. And then I've, you know, had some personal tragedies in my family. I had a sister that we just recently lost, who struggled with lupus for 20 years. And I had another sister who had a stroke. And there's a huge age gap between me and my sister. So they're older. The one that passed away, she was 10 years older than me. And then the one who had the stroke, she's 11 years older than me. And so just, you know, and then having to be a caregiver and supporter within my own family, I find myself coming across a lot of intersectional issues, whether it's sex, gender, race, you know, workplace advocacy. I find a lot of intersectional issues coming into play when I look at how I view the world. And so I see the world from a lot of different perspectives, which is why social work helper touches on a lot of range of issues and not just, practice. Practice is important. That one-on-one connection with a family or individual can have huge impact on their ability to have a fulfilled life. But also outside of practice, that one-on-one interaction, it doesn't touch on why that person is experiencing the issues that they're facing. It doesn't touch on institutional barriers. It doesn't touch on race and gender inequality or LGBT issues. There's so many other factors that prevent us from living our best life and our best self. And I think as social workers, we have to look at those issues and begin to address them if we are going to be impactful in what we do as a profession. So I look at a lot of issues, and one of the things that I really do get a lot of backlash for with social work helper is a lot of the issues that I talk about is race. Race and being a woman, that's who I am. It's not going to change. I'm a Black woman. And so naturally having a platform, it's going to filter from a Black woman's perspective. And initially, this was something that people told me that I should not do. I should not give my perspective as a Black woman, that it would be more successful. I would have more opportunities. I would have more opportunities for collaboration or more opportunities to make it profitable if I would separate myself as a Black woman out of it. And that was a huge challenge for me because I feel like, this is my vision, this is my passion. And if I have to separate being a Black woman out of it, then I'm not being true to myself. I'm not being true to my voice. I'm not being true to my platform. And if I do that, what good is if it's profitable if it's not a representation of the voice that I want to send out in the world? So I made the conscious decision that if it will be successful, it will be successful as me as a Black woman and not me as a ghost figure behind a screen. I am who I am, and that's the path that I have walked on. I've tried to walk on with social work helper from a place of authenticity. As a Black woman in my experiences, I try to be sensitive to other people's issues. Not just focus on oppression that I feel as a Black woman, but also oppression that applies to other people that doesn't necessarily apply to me. So I think it's important for us to look at what we experience together and not necessarily all the issues that separate us. Oppression is oppression no matter in what form it comes in. It's still oppression. And so my goal is to use this platform to raise issues that, transgender women of color have dismal outcomes, just like women of color, of any race. So we have to look at how do we raise the bar to minimize the effects so that people can have more fulfilled lives. And I think that's the advocacy component that's most important. It's a storm, so I probably need to cut a light on for you guys.
Yeah.
I had the window open and I hear the thunder. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder, but it just all of a sudden got dark outside.
We don't hear any thunder, but as long as you still have electricity.
Yes, we still have electricity. Hold on and let me cut a light on for you, okay?
No problem.
Let me see.
We're waiting, but I mean, as you're talking though, it's just really fascinating, and I love that you're saying you wanted to be true to yourself.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, this is good.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
I got some electricity going on here.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. Of course, Black Lives Matter. The police brutality issue that we're having here in the United States is a huge area that I feel needs advocacy. It's one that I feel that our profession does not address as much as I would like for them to. I feel race is an issue that is taboo in our profession, and I think we experience the same issues that law enforcement have. They're just under addressed. So I think it's important that reform within our profession is something that we look at before we're forced to make changes. But those are just some of the issues that I like to raise. And one of the most popular posts that I've written is the top 5 reasons that social work is failing. And I touch on the lack of macro attention given to systematic issues. I touch on the lack of diversity within our leadership, within our schools of social work. And so those are some of the things that I think are important for us to advocate as practitioners and students.
So tell us, what is it that you know, in your big dream for social work helper, what is it that you wanted to accomplish outside of starting a conversation?
I guess I think, one of the things when I started social work helper, it was supposed to be a hobby. I started this as a hobby, just a way to connect with like-minded individuals. And I still do it that way. I just connect with a lot more people. Mm-hmm. Ideally, I would love to have one for social work helper to help to shape the image of the profession, for us to have a point of contact or a place where non-social workers, consumers of services can come and get information so that we don't seem so unapproachable or distant or a lack of transparency, which people seem to only have one vision of a social worker, which is, a person who takes people's children. That seemed to be the consensus of what a social worker, the concept of what a social worker is. So one of the things I wanted to do was to help combat some of the stigma and stereotypes of social workers. Of course, I want to help create awareness on issues that I feel that social workers should have a voice on a national issue. And I'm not saying that I represent all social workers. I represent a perspective, and that's another thing that I tend to get backlash on, because I do represent a progressive message that leans towards democratic ideals and not conservative ideology. And, that is not something that a lot of conservative social workers approve of. And so there has been a lot of backlash from conservative social workers. But that is something that was done intentionally. I have always decided when I created this platform that I would use it to combat conservative ideology when it comes to increasing outcomes and getting resources for individuals, children, and families. And so those are the primary things that I think I wanted to use this platform for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, they say if you don't have any controversy, then you're not really making much of a difference, not much of an impact.
Exactly. You got to have some haters. That's how you know you're on the right path.
That's right. That's right. And haters are going to hate. So just let them hate. So let's talk a little bit about how you've been able to monetize social work helper, because again, on my journey and just learning about this world of the web where you can actually make money online by helping people, and finding social work helper. I was just so impressed with how you've been able to not only make issues relevant, but also hopefully put things in place to help support what you're doing and maybe even make some money to grow the platform. So could you talk to us a little bit about why you took that approach to monetize the site? And for those of you that don't understand what we're saying, social work.
I can explain what the monetization is.
Okay, good.
Ideally, when I created social work helper, like I said, it was a hobby. And so one of the things that I did to monetize the site, and basically monetize means that you're putting elements together in order to make some kind of profit or money from your website. And so one of the things that I've done is add ads, which are very much a modest form of advertising. Unless you get direct ads from advertisers, it could be more profitable. Also, doing promotional campaigns and things of that nature. One of the challenges with social work helper and making it solvent is that a lot of people want a lot of promotion. They want to reach your audience. They want you to work for them for free. And for a long time, because of my social worker background, I felt obligated to do a lot of things for free. And so it hasn't been until probably the last 6 months when my life became more challenging in real life with real life responsibilities that I had to say, okay, it's time for me to really sit down and think about this and look at this from a business plan and look at this from a business perspective and see what changes that I need to make. Because I can't continue to utilize my time. Your time is the most valuable thing that you have. And if you're giving your time away to relationships that are not reciprocating, you are wasting your time. You have to learn how to vet and manage your time more wisely and more effective. And that's one of the things that I've had to learn transitioning from a social worker to an entrepreneur. Learning how to use my time wisely and more effectively and using it to benefit, myself and my goals and my achievement, because you can never give enough, because some people always want more. And they want to, not give you anything or respect your skills and ability for your time. So you have to learn how to put those barriers in place. And so that's one of the things that I've been doing in order to further monetize my time so that I can find avenues to make it more solvent, make it profitable. And there are certain challenges and barriers that I face in being able to do that, because my idea is never to charge the readers or subscribers for this service, because those are the people who need it most. My business plan involves promotion. Those who, are selling books or selling things to people, they need to pay for promotion. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that I'm putting in place now to help monetize the site and make it profitable. In order to do that, you have to grow and have a strong audience, have a strong appeal, have a strong reach to your consumer base. And that happens by giving quality content, having good staff and things of that nature. So that is one of the challenges that I have, because I use volunteers. And so right now, social work helper is in a transition phase of right there on the cusp of being profitable, but also having to deal with all the growing pains that I'm experiencing, both in life and with the website. So I'm not quite at a place where I can say that it's life sustaining, because it's not. But I hope to be able to say that in another year or two.
Now, before we started recording, you mentioned the words next level. So
yes,
and you wanted to take social work helper to the next level. So what does that mean?
So for me, the next level means coming out from behind the computer and doing more real life events. Ideally, I want Social Work Helper to start hosting conferences. I would love to be able to share with people how to increase their outcome. Technology has to be a part of our daily living. We live in a technology digital age. And as social workers, if we want to be more impactful, whether that's using technology for productivity or using technology to expand our reach, these are tools that we need to add to our toolbox. And so hosting conferences and being able to share with social workers and non-social workers how to be effective using technology is something that I would like to do to take Social Work Helper to the next level, in addition to still providing the free resources that we do via the website.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So that sounds good. So, and at these conferences and events and things, that would be another form of monetization. That would be another form of networking and advertising,
Exactly.
and building the platform as well.
Exactly.
Love that. And I know people will love to have an opportunity to see you. I know I will. And so are you able to share with us where, any details about an event that's coming up or anything that you're doing?
Well, yes, actually, I have two major events that are coming up. And this will be pretty much the only thing that I will do in the last quarter of this year. Um, rest of 2015, I'm going to focus on nurturing the established relationships that I have with different people that I work with online. And also, I'm going to actually start doing more real life events. In September, I will do a 3-city tour following the Pope. The Pope is coming for his U.S. visit, and so I will be going to different events in D.C., New York, and Philadelphia to cover the Pope's visit for Social Work Helper. Then in October, I'll be in New York at Comic-Con, and one of the things that I'm super excited about these two events is that they're not exactly typical social work events. So I'm ecstatic that Social Work Helper is starting to cross over and have mainstream appeal, where I can, you know, getting to certain events to be able to share that with the audience that I have with Social Work Helper. So these things really are helping to mainstream social work, not just within the social work circles, but it's becoming recognized outside of social work circles. And that's something I'm extremely ecstatic about.
Girl, you about to mess around and change your profession. That's great.
I just want, I always want social work to be a broad appeal. Last March, Social Work Month, we did this campaign, Why Social Work?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I found, when I tell people what my degrees and stuff are, I get that why social work. I mean, like it's almost an insult.
Right. Right.
Couldn't you have done something else?
Right.
And yes, I could have done something. I chose social work.
Right.
So it always feels like people think that you're less intelligent or that social work was an easy degree. Well, it does not. I wish social work did incorporate marketing and more business principles and more technology, and not just focus on all clinical and medical. I wish, that those who, even if you want to be a clinician and you want to go into private practice, you're going to have to advertise, you're going to have to use social media, you're going to have to be able to promote your business. Unless you can hire somebody to do all that stuff, you still need some basic concepts yourself. And so, I just think that it's important that we show that social work is a range, a spectrum, and not just one aspect. and to be able to cross over into different realms of what other people are doing, for me, that's a huge success. That the social work helper is being recognized in that way. So um, I never expected, I never expected, to be able to reach those types of platforms. But it's awesome that I have access and have been given these opportunities. And so I hope to capitalize on these events and show social workers that we can enter into other spaces, um, and that, let's, keep moving forward and have conversations more so with people outside of our profession, instead of only having these conversations with each other.
Right, right. I'm with you on that. I thank you so much. We're gonna have to end, but before we do, can you go back to that question that I said I was going to ask about, what kind of advice do you have for the social worker who either is just starting out, or I don't want us to forget those of us or our colleagues who have been in the field for a while and who maybe are feeling disenchanted or who have gotten into a routine. I've definitely got some ideas, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about what we can do to help ourselves and help improve the profession.
Well, I think, through social work helper, I do get the opportunity to talk to a lot of social workers, and I hear a lot of different voices. And one of the things that I hear, a lot of people feel disenfranchised. A lot of people do feel change is necessary. A lot of people are experiencing hardships because of finances. And because of the stressful jobs that we have, it is very difficult to advocate for ourselves. And also, there's the retaliation aspect of advocating for ourselves. So there a lot of issues and factors come into play. So how do we combat it? How do we find a place of fulfillment? How do we stay true to ourselves? That is a question that each one of us kind of have to find a way to answer that question. How do we stay fulfilled, and how do we not let all the challenges that we face keep us down, keep us depressed? So one of the things that I tell people is that technology is a game changer for a lot of people, because even when you feel disenfranchised, isolated, alone, which is what a lot of social workers can feel when we're on the front lines, dealing with clients one-on-one and the issues that we face, you feel alone and you feel disconnected from your profession, especially if you're in one of the lower paying social work jobs and you can't afford to be a part of association, you feel extreme isolation from your profession. So being a part of a technology, a community, can help you feel connected and not as isolated. But also, a lot of people are very apprehensive when it comes to technology. So one of the things that I have written that people can check out to help them maybe overcome some of those barriers and see how technology can help support an aspect of their life to be more engaged, involved, or whatever they want. I wrote an article on how to use technology safely without it causing you problems in your employment as a social worker. And I can actually send you that article when we're finished, so you can post it along with the interview. But basically, it gives tips on how social workers can become more informed about technology, how you can use it effectively and safely and cautiously, depending on your job and where you're at, and what you're doing. But you can use it to connect with others. One of the things that I do, and I'm gonna wrap it up. One of the things that I do on Social Work Helper, on the Facebook fan page, and sometimes with Twitter, but mostly Facebook, a lot of people may come across ethical issues or may want to discuss a case or something they may email me and I will repost it anonymously and give them an opportunity to engage with the community, but as an anonymous person, so that they can use that as an ability to reflect or to gather more information to help them in their practice. And I found that this is very helpful, and a lot of social workers appreciate having that ability to filter a question through a platform without having to feel like they need confidentiality or any rules. And so I hope people will check out this article so you can figure out how to find the aspect in your life that you can use technology to help improve your outcome.
Is that the name of the article again?
The name of the article is How to Use Technology Without Risking Termination to Employment.
Okay.
And I'll send it to you. I don't think that's the exact title, but I'll send it to you so you can post it with this post it with the interview.
Absolutely, I'll do that. I'll do that. Well, Deona, thank you so much. I hate to end, but we've actually been here for about an hour.
Okay, yeah, it has been about an hour.
For everybody that stuck with us, thank you so much. I know I'm going to be watching this again. I've been taking notes, but I missed some, so I'm going to be watching this several times. You know, thank you so much. I can't say enough to you for your pioneering efforts. You know, your courage, your perseverance. They're all so inspiring, and I'll say, as a person of color, especially, you know, they're inspiring in a way that tells me that anything I put my mind to, I can actually, you know, I can do. You know, I find inspiration from everywhere, of course, but seeing you, talking to you, virtually touching you, that's even more encouraging. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
We're so honored that you said this is kind of your first official interview. So,
yeah, this is my first position.
You heard it here first.
I normally don't do interviews. I've done maybe one that was print, but this is the first, you know, video interview that I've ever done. Excuse me. So I'm glad that I had an opportunity to do it with you.
Thank you so. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, you guys heard it here first. She's on evaforde.com. You heard that first. Share it and share it with everybody you know. If you like this video, guys, encourage your friends to watch it. Subscribe to Social Work Helper. Subscribe to evaforde.com, and we will see you later. Make sure you like this video, and what was I going to say? Something about comment. Let us know your feedback. Okay, guys, until next time.